quick, hopefully, perhaps somewhat rambly video about just how to, I think, legitimately get up and running at this point. So I am on the exact same computer we were looking at this morning, AO2, AU302102, aka Orient. So that's a computer you'll always use for right now. And that's important because the files are stored locally for the moment. So I have logged in and I have gone to the instructions, which I may or may not have sent you, but if I haven't, I will. And you can see there's some other stuff that's not relevant to you. And then Heather and Sarah, you start here. And so where to log basic processes. We'll open up this thing as well. Make sure we're looking at 2023. So here's all the dates and rounds, and the ones that are highlighted in yellow are the ones that I figure you should both do, and we'll do the little like linear comparison to see what issues arise. I don't even know what they'd be. So basically, you're just going to be looking for July 27th, round 2, July 27th, round 7, and July 27th, round 11. Once you're done doing it, all of the all of the images in a single round, you'll just put your initials in here, so you can both add your initials in there, and then both add any notes if there are any notes to add. You can also just take a stab at the accuracy here, whereas 1 is just like, okay, across the board, everything was under 0.5 forward. Nothing else crazy happened. 2, maybe there was a few images where something crazy did happen that we can look at, or nothing, maybe it was like 0.7 or something. And 3, there was big issues that we need to talk about. So I don't know if this is a good idea, but at least it's easy. So we'll start with that. All right, so I'm going to jump into number 2 here just to take a look. So where is the data? Well, when you're on this computer, you're going to come in and look in the F drive. That's where all the data live, users. And you each now have a folder with your name. And if I go into Sarah's here, so far there's only the imagery from the 27th. And you're going to go ahead and open up this ARC project, which I've already opened. And so I've cleaned things up a bit. And so all it has now is reference panels, the location of the reference panels by date. So you can see those are in the fuchsia dots here. And if I zoom in, you'll see, okay, 1 dot lines up with the reference panel and 1 dot does not. That's because this dot is the correct date. And this dot, if I click on it, is from a different day, from June 15th. So the panel was up there on June 15th. So we'll come back to that in a minute, but it's really just for visual guidance to help you out. So what are we doing? So what else do we have? We have the base thermal data, so from June 15th, and the ones we looked at this morning from 727. These are just the rounds that I have already georeferenced that you should use to georeference the other rounds too. There's also high-res true color images. You probably won't need these. I wouldn't necessarily suggest using them, but they're there, and they're aligned with things too. So I don't know. I just left them in there because they're decent reference. We'll skip that. Okay. So that is all that's important that's in here. I'm going to go ahead and remove these. I didn't do that before. And now we'll go get the data. So in here, I think I said round 2, but let me confirm. Yep, round 2. Open up, we're going to the XTR core. So not the JPEGs, we want the TIFF files, and I'll just Control A, select all those, Alt Tab my way back here, and just drag all those in. Always use this choice. This is just going to be how to load images. Okay, so there they are. I'm going to select all of these. So Shift, come on. shift click, right click, turn off. Only start with that top one. I don't want these all selected because I want the georeferencing to just work on the one I want to work on. Go through the workflow we did this morning. So georeference, set SRS. Sometime in there you want to zoom to the layer. Add control points. And okay, the one thing I'm going to add this morning is I now do encourage you to use the fuchsia points to as georeferencing points. So literally the points themselves will be helpful to you. And so you can see here, you've got a point here, and a point here. Two of them probably line up with these panels. This third one does not. And it's because it's the wrong date. So to make that more clear, what you might do is click on this. I would just go in, double click, go to definition query, and we're only going to show the ones from the proper date. So, which is July 27th. See if that works. Okay, so that works. So it got rid of that one other point, which is from a different date. And now we have these nice targets that we can also use. Probably only one of in this case because they're really right next to each other. But I won't get too concerned about that. So I might as well just start with that. So from my okay, great. Hit my L. Oh, covered. Can't use that. Hit escape. This one I'm not super confident in, so I'm gonna do it. But if you see like some crazy movement in the error or just the warp of the image, that is something to look out for. You can see this became a little bit of a parallelogram instead of a rectangle, which sometimes can be cause for concern. We're still doing okay though. So throw one more down here. So it's possible I'm doing more than 5, but I just feel like it's necessary in this case to get well distributed. So that seems pretty good. I'm still under the 0.5. Everything looks decent. You can see even here, this point is off a little bit. You know, I sometimes will then just like, honestly, it's probably not good practice, but I'll come in and give this little, scooch it just a little bit over. It doesn't really help all that much, but you know, makes me feel good. So I'm going to save that. Close the georeference. Turn it off. Turn on the next one. Zoom to layer. And I would start again. So I just want to show one more in the middle of the physics parking lot, just because I've found that sometimes those aren't well behaved, and you might need a more aggressive polynomial warp to make it work. Okay, I changed my mind. I might just put a couple more examples in here, and you can just play them on double speed or refer back to them as needed. But this one is a bit to the west of the library, but still in that library data set. And it's just a very hard one to do well. because there aren't good targets and because it's on a slope. So this is probably one where the error might be higher than you want it to be, and it may just be the way it has to be. So georeference, control points. All right, we'll start with an easy one here. So everything seems great so far. Oh, and here's a reference panel that we can grab. So this is where everything goes downhill, literally and figuratively. So there's usually something over here. This is a lamp, but this stuff is low. So we could do the corner of the bridge. Down here is really kind of nasty. I kind of just do in this looks like a kidney bean. I've become very familiar with these things, unfortunately. Kind of stick it in the curvature of the kidney bean. And this is where the air is going to jump. Boom. Yep. You know, it's still okay. And those are reasonably well distributed. So that might, well, I'll put one more up here. This one's a very easy one as well. Okay, well, that actually wasn't that bad, honestly. Surprising. The drone must have been behaving. So, okay, we'll save that one. But it's good for me to show you like a few potential places to put points and, you know, avoiding all of these very tempting trees. So now I'll go find one in physics. Okay, so now I'm in physics here. I'll zoom out a little bit. Physics, parking lots. My new image is over here. This is the physics building over here. We just call this whole area physics, in case you're curious. So I haven't gone into georeference here yet. I should do that. And before I even start to add control points, I'm just going to get oriented because some of these are wacky. And you can see this is not oriented properly because we've got the curvy pathway here aligns with the curvy pathway here. So this is like a good time to just try fixed rotate. Okay, so just doing that just makes it easier for your brain to work with it. So now we just need to shift this rather than rotate it. So now I'll do, oops. Ah, what happened? I lost it. Oh, georeference. Okay. It's context menu. So now add control points. And you can see there's, well, it looks like there's a point there, but that's on top, remember, that's on top of the image that needs to be moved. So if I turn this off, you can see it's not actually related to this image. So let's ignore that for now and just assume there's no point. So crosswalks are frequently good ones. You just got to remember what little corner you stuck it in. I'm afraid to admit, I do a fair amount of counting parking spaces to get from a known location up to somewhere further away. Like up here, I don't really know how to get there other than counting. Sometimes you can line up the lamps, but the lamps lean this way and that, so it's just not that reliable. So here we go. 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Oh, dang it. Lost track. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, let's say. I'm just going to stick it on the end of this spot. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 17. So yeah, sometimes it's a bit painful. So now I think you can see that the reference point actually is useful. Now that we've lined it up a little better, you can be like, okay, good. We can use that. So we'll go in here. So I could use one more, maybe here. Oh, unfortunately, there's no good data there. You can't really, don't use this Google Earth stuff down here. This is where you could use the high res true color data. Let's see, we have library. I can just turn on all of these. So you could use that here. This might be one good reason to use those. So get back up to my data. Okay, sorry, I lost my image for a minute there. Okay, so like I said, you can use the high res here if needed, just not the Google Earth like base imagery. All right, so I have 5 points on. I am a bit over the 0.5. And here's where I'm going to say close enough, because it is hard to add a lot of points here. Well, sorry, let's give it a try. Maybe I may come back to that. Yeah, I just don't want to be counting all of these parking lots, but there's a few more I could put in. We'll see what happens. So my bad. There's one. And nope, that might not work. The inside of this line. So it's this there. So now I have 8 and an error of 1 meter. When I have 8, this is where I sort of wanted to get us here. And it's taken a while to get there, but what you can do when you have at least 8 is a second, in my opinion, 8, not 6, second order polynomial to make for a warpier warp. You can see that things get a little bit crazier. Now the error goes significantly down for the points that we have, so that's good. Let me turn it on and off here. But I don't know. It's probably not worth it, because in this case, we're not controlling very well for what's happening up in the top of the image. Up here, we have no control, and you can see that's where it kind of getting most crazy. So might want to just go back to a good old first order here and note this on the spreadsheet as one that was tough to solve. And so you can do that just by single click in there, copy that. So if you start running into a bunch of these that you're like, I just cannot figure out how to get these to be good, that's something that we can talk about, and maybe we'll need to relax the rules a little more. As you can see here, you know, with 5 or 6, I was at half 0.5, and now I jumped up to 1 meter as I tried to get this edge. You know, it's just this drone facing all sorts of weird directions. So I'd still go ahead and save that. Close the georeference. You'll want some way, you'll want to make sure that you're able to track what you've accomplished in a day so that you don't do anything over again. One thing to do would just be just shift click on everything that you've done up till that day and then remove those so that next time you come in, you can start where you left off. Because presumably it'll be rare that you'll just kind of finish a round cleanly, I would guess. So I think, what else do I have to say here? You'll save, you'll shut down, noting things in here. So once you've finished a round, and these will be the 3 that I check off using my extraction method. So that accuracy will be bolstered by the fact that you're using the reference panels to line up the image. So in physics, just a quick tour. Physics, there's 3 reference panels. So there's one right there. There's the one that we just dealt with right there. And there's one in the grass right there. In the library area, there's 2 right next to each other. There's one further over here that we also used. And then there's one over by the instrumented trees in the residential area right there. Okay, enough video for now.